Captain Lee Minho walked slowly across the bridge of his ship, the Terrace Shield. The lights were dim, and most of his crew was quiet. They had been traveling through empty space for 3 weeks now, looking for new planets that humans could visit someday. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. Minho stopped near the big window that showed the stars outside. He was tired. Being the captain of an exploration ship meant long days and longer nights. His crew was good, though. They were all humans from Earth, and they understood hard work. Captain called out Park Ju from her seat at the communications station. She was young, maybe 25, with short black hair and quick fingers that never stopped moving over her controls. "I'm getting something strange on the emergency channels." Minho turned around and walked over to her. "What kind of strange?"
Ice.
"Not human, sir. Signals coming from the outer rim, about 2 days away from here. It sounds like multiple species all talking at once." The captain frowned. Multiple species meant trouble. In his 15 years of space travel, he had learned that when different alien races started talking together, something very bad was usually happening. "Put it on the main speakers," he ordered. The bridge filled with sounds that made everyone stop what they were doing. It was crying, screaming, and begging in languages that the ship's computer tried to translate. Words appeared on the screens around them. "Help us. They're coming. The children. Please. Anyone." Kim Tae-young looked up from his tactical station. He was older than most of the crew, with gray hair and hands that had seen many battles. "Sir, the computer is identifying at least 12 different species in this transmission. It's more than I've ever heard together." Minho felt something cold in his stomach. 12 species crying for help meant something really terrible was happening. "Can you clean up the signal? I want to hear this clearly." Gu worked on her controls for a few minutes. Slowly, the sounds became clearer. An alien voice, speaking in broken but understandable human language, came through the speakers. "This is Elder Kith, of the Cathera Nursery Worlds. We are under attack by the Vex Dominion. Our defenses are failing. We have millions of civilians. Here children, elderly, sick, refugees from the war zones. We cannot fight them. We cannot run. The Galactic Council fleets are too far away. Anyone who can hear this, please help us. We have maybe 3 days before our shields fail completely." The bridge was completely silent. Everyone stared at the speakers as if they could see the alien who was begging for help. "Cathera Nursery Worlds," whispered Science Officer Lee Hojin. She was the youngest member of the crew, barely 22, but she knew more about alien species than anyone else. "On the ship, Captain, those are the protected worlds. The galaxy uses them as safe places for anyone who can't fight. Children, old people, sick people, refugees. They don't have weapons or armies." "In the Vex Dominion?" Minho asked, though he already knew the answer would be bad. "Pirates, sir, but organized ones. They have hundreds of ships, and they don't care about Galactic Council laws. They take what they want and kill anyone who gets in their way." Tae-young brought up a star map on the main screen. "Captain, I'm showing Vex fleet movements in that area. Looks like at least 200 warships, maybe more. And they're big ones, cruisers, and battleships." Minho stared at the map. The Cathara system was shown as a small blue dot, surrounded by angry red dots that represented enemy ships. It looked hopeless. "What about Council forces?" he asked. "The nearest Council fleet is 3 weeks away," Tae-young reported. "Even if they left right now, they wouldn't get there in time." The alien's voice came through the speakers again, weaker. "Now this may be our last transmission. The Vex ships are moving closer. If anyone receives this message, please remember us. Please remember that we tried to keep the innocent safe." Minho closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his own children back on Earth, safe and happy. He thought about what it would be like if they were trapped on a world while monsters came closer every hour. When he opened his eyes, his whole crew was looking at him. They all had the same expression. They knew what he was thinking, and they were thinking the same thing. "Captain," Ju said quietly, "Terra's shield is just one ship. They have good weapons, but against 200 Vex warships. ... "I know," Minho said. He walked back to the captain's chair and sat down slowly. "But those are children out there? Children and old people, and sick people who never hurt anyone. He looked around at his crew again. These were humans from Earth, from a world that had tried to kill them every day of their lives. They understood what it meant to protect the weak. Drew opened a channel to Earth Command. Emergency frequency. Yes, sir. Minho took a deep breath. This is Captain Lee Minho of the Terrace Shield. I am declaring an emergency. The children are in danger. I repeat, the children are in danger. He knew that every human ship in space would hear those words, and he knew they would all understand. 6 hours after Captain Lee Minho sent his message, human space became a storm of activity. The message, the children are in danger, spread from ship to ship, station to station, planet to planet. It was not just words. It was a call that reached deep into something that made humans what they were. Commander? Choi Hannah was drinking coffee on Titan Station when her communication device started beeping. She had been on shore leave for only 2 days, the first real rest she had taken in 8 months. Her heavy cruiser Soul's Fury was getting repairs in the station's docks. She read the message 3 times, then jumped up so fast that her coffee spilled all over the table. Other humans in the station cafe were doing the same thing, reading their devices, then rushing toward the exits. Emergency recall, all crew members. She spoke into her communicator as she ran through the station corridors. Cancel all repairs, except weapons systems. We launch in 4 hours. At the docking bay, she found her crew already there. Chief Engineer Nam Junjin was covered in oil and sweat. Commander, the engines aren't ready. We need at least 12 more hours. We don't have 12 hours, Hannah replied. Make them work for 2 days. That's all we need. 3 docks away, Captain Yang Junho was staring at his cargo ship Heavy Lifter. It was not a warship. It was built to carry mining equipment and supplies. But his crew was already welding metal plates to the hull and trying to figure out how to mount the railguns they had borrowed from the station's defense systems. Captain called out his first officer, Park Minsu. This is crazy. We're not soldiers. We carry boxes from one place to another. Gunho picked up a welding torch and handed it to him. Today we carry hope. If we have to fight to deliver it, then we fight. On a civilian transport called Safe Harbor, Captain Name Subane was making an announcement to her passengers. They were traveling families, mostly going to visit relatives on distant worlds. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to change our destination. There are children in danger, and we're going to help save them. She expected complaints, maybe even anger. Instead, passengers started volunteering. A retired doctor offered to set up a medical bay. A teacher said she could help take care of scared alien children. Even the passengers' own children started gathering their toys to give to alien kids who might need comfort at Mars Command. Admiral Bei Wujin stood in front of a huge display screen that showed ship movements across human space. Red dots were moving from everywhere. Military ships, corporate vessels, independent traders, mining ships, even pleasure craft, all heading toward the same destination. Admiral, his assistant reported, we now have 147 ships confirmed. More are joining every hour. But sir, most of them aren't warships. Wujin nodded. It doesn't matter. When humans decide to protect someone, we use whatever we have. Lieutenant Kim Jawan looked worried as she brought him a report. Sir, some of these ships are completely civilian. Passenger transports, cargo, haulers, even a few luxury yachts. They'll be destroyed in a real battle. Then we better make sure they don't have to fight alone, the Admiral replied. Signal all military vessels. Form protective formations around the civilian ships. No one fights alone. On a mining station near Jupiter, Captain Osiagen read the message while his crew was loading asteroid mining charges into their small but fast ship Rock Hunter. These charges were meant to break apart asteroids, but they could break apart enemy ships just as well. His mining crew looked at him with dirty faces and tired eyes. They had been working for 16 hours straight. Captain, one of them said, we signed up to dig rocks, not fight wars. Saiyajin looked out at the stars. My daughter is 7 years old. She was trapped somewhere with monsters coming for her. I would want someone to help her, wouldn't you? The crew looked at each other, then started loading more charges back. On the terrace shield, Captain Minho watched the tactical display as more ships appeared. Communications Officer Park Ju was trying to keep track of all the messages coming in. Capta, I have 43 cargo ships retrofitting weapon systems, 67 civilian transports, loading medical supplies and volunteers, military vessels of various sizes, and Sir ... She paused, looking amazed. The grandmother's love just checked in. What's the grandmother's love? Minho asked. It's a luxury cruise ship, sir. The captain says they're carrying 500 passengers, but they all voted to help with the evacuation. Science Officer Lee Hojin looked up from her station. Captain, I'm getting reports from all over human space. People are leaving jobs, canceling vacations, emptying bank accounts to buy supplies for the refugees. It's like the entire human race just decided to help. Minho smiled for the first time in hours. That's because they did. When humans hear that children are in danger, we don't ask whose children they are. We just help. Admiral Bay's voice came. Over the communication system, all vessels, this is Admiral Bay. We jump to hyperspace in 6 hours. Go in together, we fight together, and we all come home together. Every human, every alien we save, no exceptions. Through the ship's windows, Minho could see dozens of human ships gathering, their engines glowing in the darkness of space. They looked like a pack of wolves coming together to protect their young. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace and saw hell. The Cathara system was full of burning ships and broken metal. Huge Silver Vex warships floated like deadly sharks around the 3 peaceful worlds, their weapons firing down at the planet's shields. Smaller Vex fighters flew around like angry insects, shooting at anything that moved. Admiral Baywujian stood on the bridge of his flagship Earth's Hammer and felt anger burn in his chest. Through the big windows, he could see the Vex ships attacking evacuation centers where alien families were trying to escape. Tactical report, he ordered. Captain Oh Min-jae worked quickly at her station. Sir, I count 210 enemy vessels. It's mostly heavy cruisers and battleships. They're arranged in standard attack formations around each planet. Standard formations, Woojin repeated. He almost smiled. They fight like civilized people. Sir Min-jae looked confused. They've never fought humans before, the Admiral explained. They don't know we're not civilized. Signal all ships, execute Thunderstorm Protocol. Around the human fleet, captains and crews grinned when they heard those words. Thunderstorm Protocol was not something they taught in normal military schools. It was pure human tactics, the kind of fighting that came from living on a world where everything tried to kill you. Captain Lee Minho's Terra shield was the first to move. Instead of flying straight at the enemy like the Vex expected, it dove toward the asteroid field that surrounded the system. Behind him, the entire human fleet scattered like leaves in the wind. What are they doing? Demanded Vex Fleet Commander Zakthal from his command ship. Why don't they form battle lines? His tactical officer looked confused. Sir, they're hiding in the asteroids? Hiding like cowards? The officer's screen suddenly lit up with alarms. Sir, enemy contacts lost. The asteroids are blocking our sensors. What happened next had never been seen in galactic warfare. Human ships used the asteroid field like a forest, hiding behind rocks the size of mountains, then appearing suddenly to attack and disappear again. Captain Yang Junho's converted cargo ship Heavy Lifter came out from behind a spinning asteroid and fired mining charges at a Vex cruiser. The charges, meant to break apart rocks, tore huge holes in the enemy's armor. Before the Vex could respond, Junho was gone, hidden behind another asteroid. This is impossible, Zakthal snarled. They're using cargo ships as warships. Captain Choi Hana's Soul's Fury worked with 3 other human ships like a pack of wolves. They attacked one Vex battleship from 4 different directions at once, then scattered before the big ship could fight back. The Vex tried to chase them. But humans knew how to run and hide and attack again. Science Officer Lee Hojin watched from the Terra's shield. As more human ships joined the fight, Captain, look at this. The civilian ships are using mining lasers as weapons. The passenger transports are launching escape pods full of explosives. Captain Minho nodded. Humans use whatever they have. We learned that on Earth. The Vex fleet tried to regroup, but humans don't fight fair. They fight to win. Captain Oceogen's rock hunter flew through the middle of a Vex formation, dropping asteroid mining charges like deadly seeds. When the charges exploded, they created clouds of metal fragments that tore apart the Vex ship's armor. Vex tactical officer reported, his voice shaking, "We've lost 37 ships. The humans are fighting like animals. Animals." Axel laughed coldly. "Then we'll exterminate them like animals." But the Vex commander didn't understand. Humans weren't animals. They were predators. They were protecting their pack. Admiral Bay's voice came over the human fleet communications. "All ships. The Vex are targeting the evacuation centers. Time to show them why Earth is called a death world." What followed was not a battle, it was a hunting lesson. Human ships moved like they had been born in space, using every piece of debris, every broken ship, every floating rock as cover. They attacked in groups, then scattered, then regrouped somewhere else. Captain Name Suban's passenger transport safe harbor rescued a damaged Cathera evacuation ship while Vex fighters tried to destroy it. Her passengers, families with children, operated the ship's defenses and fought like their lives depended on it, because they did. The Vex tried everything they knew. They tried to surround human ships, but humans slipped away like smoke. They tried to use their bigger weapons, but humans were too fast and too smart. They tried to predict human movements, but humans fought like chaos itself. "Sir," the Vex officer reported, "their tactics make no sense. They should be easy to defeat, but ... double quotes." "But what?" Akthal demanded. "But they're winning," it was true. That mighty Vex fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds, was being destroyed by humans who fought like their home planet had taught them. With the cunning of survivors and the fury of guardians protecting those they loved, in 4 hours the great Vex armada was broken. The surviving ships fled into deep space, leaving behind their dead and their shame. The humans had done what no civilized species could do. They had fought like the galaxy was their territory, and every innocent being in it was their responsibility to protect. Admiral Bay looked at the fleeing enemy ships and spoke quietly. "That's what happens when you threaten our children." While the space battle raged above the planets, transport captain Yoon Jinwoo guided his ship. Harmony's hope through the burning atmosphere of Cathara Prime. His ship was not built for war, was meant to carry people safely from one place to another. It was flying through enemy fire to save alien children. "Landing zone is hot, Captain," reported his pilot. Officer Shin Yunji. She was only 24 years old, but she flew the transport like she had been born to do it. Vex ground forces are moving toward the evacuation center. Maybe 200 soldiers with heavy weapons. Jinwoo looked at the tactical display. The evacuation center was a large building where thousands of alien civilians were hiding. Most of them were children, old people, and sick people who could not fight. The Vex soldiers were getting closer every minute. "How long do we have?" he asked. 30 minutes? Maybe less?" Yanji replied. "After that, those people are dead." In the cargo bay of the ship, Sergeant Park Hyunhwa was checking his weapons with 20 human Marines. They were not a large force, but they were humans from Earth. They understood what it meant to protect the weak. "Listen up," Hyunwoo told his soldiers. "We have 30 minutes to load every civilian we can find. I don't care if they're purple, green, or covered in tentacles. If they can't fight, we save them. No one gets left behind." The ship landed hard in the evacuation center's courtyard. Immediately, the cargo doors opened and human Marines ran out. What they saw made their hearts break and their anger burn. Alien families huddled together in fear. Cathera elders with their crystal-like skin looked dull and gray with terror. Small Zephyrian children, no bigger than human 5-year-olds, cried for their parents. Wounded refugees from a dozen different species lay on stretchers to hurt. To move, medic called out Corporal Lee Gina when she saw an injured alien child. The little creature had blue fur and big eyes full of tears. Gina knelt down and started treating the child's wounds, speaking softly in broken alien language. "It's okay. Humans are here. You're safe now." The alien child looked up at her and stopped crying. Somehow, even though they were different species, the child understood that this human would protect her. More transports landed around the evacuation center. Captain Nam Suban's safe harbor touched down near the medical area. Passengers' human families who had been on vacation immediately started helping. They carried alien children to the ships, gave water to thirsty refugees, and held the hands of scared old people. Mama asked a human child, "Why do the alien kids look so scared?" "Because bad people are trying to hurt them," the mother replied. "So we're going to take them somewhere safe." The human child nodded seriously and handed his favorite toy to a small alien who was crying. The alien child smiled for the first time in days. Sergeant Hunhua set up defensive positions around the evacuation center. His Marines took cover behind broken walls and destroyed vehicles. They could hear the Vex soldiers getting closer, the sound of heavy boots and weapons being prepared for battle. Sergeant reported Private Kim Do-yan over the radio. "I can see them. At least 50 Vex soldiers coming from the north. They have tanks." "Copy that," Hunwoo replied. "All units hold your positions. Make every shot count. We need to buy. Time for the evacuation." Inside the evacuation center, human volunteers worked like they were racing against death, because they were. Dr. Choi Mingi, who had been a passenger on the safe harbor, set up an emergency medical station. She treated aliens she had never seen before, using her knowledge of human medicine to help creatures with different biology. "This one has 3 hearts," she told her assistant. "We need to be careful with the dosage." "How do you know that?" the assistant asked. "I don't," Minji admitted. "But humans are good at figuring things out." Captain Jinwoo coordinated the evacuation from his ship. His cargo bay was filling up with frightened aliens, but there were still hundreds more to save. "Transport 7. What's your status?" he called over the radio. "Cargo bay full, Captain," came the reply. "We have 200 civilians on board, mostly children and elderly." "Good, get them out of here." "Transport 12, you're next." The sound of gunfire started. Outside, the Vex soldiers had arrived, and the human Marines were fighting to protect the evacuation. Each shot from a human weapon meant more time for the civilian ships to load refugees. Sergeant Heinwu, to all transports, came the call over the radio. "You have 10 minutes. After that, we can't hold them anymore." The evacuation became desperate. Humans carried aliens who could not walk. They lifted children over their heads to pass them into the ships faster. They spoke in gentle voices to old aliens who were too scared to move. Convincing them to trust these strange creatures from the Deathworld, Private Kim Do-yoon's position was overrun by Vex soldiers. As he fell, he used his last grenade to destroy an enemy tank that was targeting an evacuation ship. He died knowing that his sacrifice saved 300 alien civilians. "All ships. This is Captain Jinwoo. Final countdown. Anyone not on a transport in 2 minutes stays behind." But no human left. Even as Vex soldiers broke through their defenses, human Marines kept fighting. They carried wounded aliens to the ships, then turned to face the enemy. "All transports, lift off now," Yunwoo ordered. As the ships rose into the sky, he and his remaining Marines held their ground until the last civilian was safe. Admiral Bay's voice came over the fleet. "Communications, all ships report. Are we missing anyone?" "Human fleet, negative, sir. All civilians accounted for." "No one left behind," Jinwoo whispered, watching the last evacuation ship clear the atmosphere. It was more than words. It was a promise humanity made to the galaxy. 3 months after the battle, Captain Lee Minho stood in the rebuilt Cathara Council chamber. The room was filled with representatives from dozens of different alien species, some he had never seen before. They were all here for the same reason, to thank the humans and ask them to stay. The chamber was beautiful, with walls made of crystal that caught the light from the system's twin suns. But what made Minho smile was what he could see through: the tall windows. Human families were walking in the plaza outside, holding hands with alien children. Human doctors were working in clinics alongside alien healers. Human teachers were in classrooms learning alien languages so they could help educate refugee children. Elder Kith of the Cathara stood at the center of the chamber. His crystal-like skin was bright and clear now, no longer gray with fear. In his hands, he held a small pendant made of pure starlight crystal, the most precious thing his people could give.
Captain Lee Min-ho
Of the human species, the elder said in his musical voice, "Please step forward." Minho walked to the center of the room. Felt strange wearing his dress uniform instead of his regular captain's clothes. Around him, alien representatives watched with large eyes, small eyes, compound eyes, and some with no eyes at all. 3 months ago, Elder Kith continued, our worlds faced total destruction. The Vex Dominion came to kill our children, our elderly, our sick, and our refugees. We called for help, not knowing if anyone would hear us or care about our fate. The elder paused and looked around the room. The Galactic Council's fleets were too far away. The great civilizations of the galaxy said they would help, but help would come too late. We prepared to die. Minho remembered that day, the fear. In the alien voices, the desperation in their messages, he remembered his crew's faces when they decided to go anyway, even though they might die trying. But then, Elder Kith said, his voice growing stronger, we heard a sound we had never heard before. It was the sound of humans saying no to our destruction. It was the sound of your people dropping everything they were doing to save strangers they had never met. In the audience, other alien representatives nodded.
A tall,
Then Zephyrian elder spoke up. My grandchildren are alive because human soldiers carried them to safety while enemy bullets flew around them. Graxian medical officer added, human doctors treated our wounded with medicines they had never used before on alien bodies they had never seen. They saved thousands of lives through pure determination. Elder Kith raised the pendant of starlight crystal. By unanimous vote of the Vulnerable Worlds Alliance, humanity is granted permanent guardian status over all refuge and nursery systems in this galaxy. The chamber erupted in sounds that Minho's translator couldn't even process. Alien cheers, songs, and calls of joy in 100 different languages. But he understood the meaning perfectly. The pendant felt warm in his hands as Elder Kith placed it around his neck. This crystal will glow as long as there are humans protecting the innocent, the elder explained. We believe it will glow forever. After the ceremony, Minho walked through the rebuilt streets of New Haven City. It had been an evacuation center 3 months ago. Now it was a thriving community where humans and aliens lived together. Human children played games with alien children, making up new rules that worked for species with different numbers of arms and legs. He stopped at a small cafe where Captain Nam Subin was having lunch with her family. Her daughter, who was 8 years old, was teaching a young Kithara how to draw pictures with human crayons. Captain Minho, Subin called out. Join us. Kira here is teaching us Cathara poetry. The young alien looked up with crystal eyes that sparkled with happiness. Captain Minho saved us, she said in careful human language. Now we are family. Minho's communication device beeped with a message from Admiral Bay. He read it and smiled. New distress signal received from the Outer Rim. Unknown aggressors, threatening civilian populations. We have 47 ships already volunteering. To respond to orders, Captain? Before he could answer, his device beeped again. This time it was from Transport Captain Yoon Jinwoo. My ship is loaded with medical supplies and volunteer doctors. Ready to launch on your word? And another message from Commander Choi Hana. Soul's Fury is armed and ready. Let's go save some more kids. Minho looked around at the peaceful scene, humans and aliens working together, children playing, families safe. This was what they had fought for. This was what they would fight for again. He typed his response. Signal the fleet. Admiral, the children need us. Within an hour, human ships were lifting off from Cathara Prime. Not just military vessels, but civilian transports, cargo ships, even passenger liners. All of them crewed by volunteers who had one thing in common. They couldn't stand by while innocents suffered. Standing in the plaza, Elder Kith watched the human ships disappear into hyperspace. Around his neck, he wore a small human-made pendant, a gift from Captain Minho. It was just a simple piece of metal with words engraved on it. No one left behind. Where are they going? Asked a young Cathara. To help someone else's children, Elder Kith replied. Because that's what guardians do. The galaxy's most dangerous predators had become its most devoted protectors. And across the stars, whenever innocents cried out for help, they would hear the same response. The humans are coming, and that meant hope.